Right now, as you watch this video, there's a massive physical transformation happening across the planet that almost nobody is paying attention to, and it's expanding faster than the internet, faster than electricity, faster than any technology in human history. AI is spreading at a pace that makes the dot-com boom look slow. But this isn't happening in your smartphone or your computer. This is happening in sprawling industrial facilities the size of small cities that consume as much electricity as 100,000 homes each, and the largest ones under construction will use 20 times more. Between 2023 and 2030, demand for AI-ready data center capacity will grow at 33% annually. Think about what that means. Not 33% total growth over 7 years, 33% every single year, compounding. By 2030, approximately 70% of all data center capacity globally will be dedicated to advanced AI workloads. NVIDIA's CEO Jensen Huang projects that between $3 trillion and $4 trillion will be spent on AI infrastructure by the end of this decade. Microsoft alone committed $80 billion for data centers in 2025. Google is spending $85 billion this year. But here's what should alarm you: this build-out is happening so fast that electrical grids can't keep up. In parts of the United States, wholesale electricity prices have surged over 500% in regions with heavy data center concentrations. The International Energy Agency warns that global data center electricity demand will more than double between 2022 and 2026, and could reach 1,050 terawatt-hours by 2030, higher than Japan's entire current energy consumption. Your electricity bill is going up because of infrastructure you never see, serving AI systems you didn't consent to supporting, built at a pace that's outrunning safety oversight, environmental review, and democratic accountability. Before we reveal exactly what's being built, where this hidden network extends, and why the breakneck pace of expansion creates risks that go far beyond rising power bills, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. What I'm about to show you is the physical reality behind AI, the massive, energy-intensive, rapidly expanding infrastructure that companies don't advertise and governments aren't adequately regulating. The physical reality, what AI actually requires. Let me explain what this hidden network actually consists of, because understanding the infrastructure reveals why this expansion is so rapid, so expensive, and so difficult to control. AI feels like software. You type a prompt into ChatGPT and text appears. You ask Claude a question, and it responds. The experience is digital, instantaneous, almost magical. But beneath every AI interaction is a massive physical infrastructure that most people never see. A modern AI data center is essentially a small city in terms of energy consumption. Inside these facilities are thousands of specialized computer chips, GPUs, graphics processing units, that perform the trillions of mathematical calculations required to train and run AI models. These chips consume vastly more energy than traditional computer processors, 2 to 4 times as many watts. They generate enormous amounts of heat, requiring industrial-scale cooling systems. They need backup power systems to ensure continuous operation. They require thousands of miles of cabling, advanced networking equipment, and climate-resilient infrastructure to function reliably. A typical AI-focused hyperscale data center annually consumes as much electricity as 100,000 households. The largest facilities currently under construction are projected to consume 20 times that amount, equivalent to massive industrial plants like aluminum smelters or steel mills. Think of it this way: training GPT-4 required computational resources equivalent to running 10,000 homes for an entire year. And that's just one model. Now multiply that by hundreds of companies training thousands of models, and you begin to grasp the scale. Here's the timeline of how fast this is happening. In 2024, U.S. data centers consumed approximately 200 terawatt-hours of electricity, roughly equivalent to the annual power consumption of Thailand. AI-specific servers within those data centers consumed between 53 and 76 terawatt-hours. On the higher end, that's enough to power over 7.2 million U.S. homes for a year. By 2030, data center electricity demand in the U.S. alone is set to double to almost 9% of all electricity demand. Some experts predict this will be the biggest surge in U.S. energy demand since air conditioning became widespread in the 1960s. Globally, if data centers were a country, they would rank fourth in electricity consumption by 2035, behind only China, the United States, and India. And this is all happening faster than the electrical grid can adapt. The expansion, what's being built right now? Let me walk you through the concrete evidence of this hidden network's explosive growth, because the numbers are staggering and accelerating. The investment tsunami. In the first half of 2025 alone, AI-related capital expenditures contributed more to US GDP growth than consumer spending. Read that again. Corporate investment in AI infrastructure exceeded the economic contribution of American consumers buying goods and services. The AI infrastructure market is positioned to generate more than $250 billion in aggregate revenue during 2025. This includes servers, accelerators, GPUs and specialized AI chips, storage systems, and networking equipment. Enterprise spending on agentic AI, autonomous AI systems that can execute multi-step workflows without human intervention, will rise from less than $1 billion in 2024 to $51.5 billion by 2028, expanding at approximately 150% compound annual growth rate. The physical build-out. More than 100 megawatts of new data center construction has been added every single month since late 2021. The U.S. colocation data center market doubled in size in just 4 years, with vacancy rates at record lows and rents steadily increasing. 80% of data center operators expect significant increases in capacity requirements due to AI workloads. Nearly 65% are actively deploying AI-capable solutions in their facilities right now. Rack density, the amount of computing power packed into each server rack, more than doubled from 2021 to 2025. Nearly 80% of operators expect rack density will be pushed even further due to AI and high-performance computing demands. This means data center managers are scrambling to improve airflow, adopt liquid cooling systems, and deploy new sensors for monitoring. The infrastructure designed for traditional computing simply cannot handle the heat and power requirements of AI workloads. The regional concentration. Northern Virginia's Data Center Alley already consumes approximately 25% of the region's electricity. Under high-growth AI scenarios, that figure could approach 50%. In Texas, the grid operator ERCOT faces projections showing its anticipated reserve margin, critical for preventing blackouts, could plummet from a healthy 31.2% in 2025 to below the critical reliability threshold of 13.75% by 2030 if AI data center growth continues unchecked. Utility operators report that some regions are already struggling with capacity constraints as clusters of new data centers simultaneously request gigawatts of power. In certain areas, electricity demand from data centers is outpacing available supply, forcing utilities to delay new connections. The energy partnership rush. Companies are constructing enormous solar farms adjacent to new data centers, creating hyperlocal clean energy ecosystems. Some projects exceed 1 gigawatt of capacity, enough to power hundreds of thousands of homes or several next-generation AI facilities. Google announced plans to invest $15 billion over 5 years to build an AI infrastructure hub in southern India. NVIDIA recently entered a $100 billion partnership with OpenAI specifically for infrastructure development. Countries like Norway are leveraging their abundant hydropower to attract data center investment, demonstrating that pairing energy resources with AI infrastructure has become a competitive advantage in the global technology race. The hidden network effect. In November 2025, Huawei released their Vision 4 agent networks, telecommunications infrastructure specifically designed for AI agents to communicate with each other. They're building networks that support agent-to-agent, A2A, protocols, allowing autonomous AI systems to coordinate across ecosystems. Think about what that means. We're not just building data centers to run AI models. We're building entirely new network infrastructure designed for AI systems to communicate autonomously, at scale, across platforms and jurisdictions. The future scenarios, where this expansion leads. Let me lay out the realistic trajectories from this point, because the pace of infrastructure build-out creates risks that extend far beyond rising electricity bills. Scenario 1, the grid stability crisis. AI data center electricity demand grows faster than grid capacity can expand. In regions with heavy data center concentration, reserve margins fall below critical reliability thresholds. During peak demand periods, summer heat waves, winter cold snaps, the grid faces cascading failures. Blackouts don't just affect data centers, they impact hospitals, emergency services, water treatment, and millions of households. The economic damage from grid instability forces governments to impose emergency restrictions on data center operations. But by this point, so much critical infrastructure depends on AI services, healthcare scheduling, supply chain management, financial systems, government services, that restricting data center operations creates its own crisis. We're trapped between grid collapse and service disruption, with no good options. Scenario 2, the energy cost spiral. Wholesale electricity prices continue surging in data center regions as they compete for limited power. The 500% price increase seen in some U.S. regions in 2025 becomes the new baseline, not the exception. Residential electricity bills double or triple. Small businesses can't afford energy costs and relocate or close. Manufacturing becomes uncompetitive in regions with high AI data center concentration. This creates economic bifurcation. Regions that successfully build out clean energy infrastructure and attract AI investment thrive, while regions that can't keep pace face deindustrialization. The economic inequality isn't just between individuals, it's between entire geographic regions, creating political tensions that destabilize national unity. Scenario 3, the environmental accountability gap. AI infrastructure expansion happens so rapidly that environmental review processes can't keep pace. Data centers require massive amounts of water for cooling, a hidden backbone that receives even less attention than electricity demands. In water-stressed regions, data center cooling competes with agricultural use, residential needs, and ecosystem preservation. Carbon emissions from electricity generation surge as utilities struggle to meet demand growth that outpaces renewable energy buildout. The AI industry markets itself as driving sustainability and efficiency, but the infrastructure reality tells a different story: massive energy consumption, water usage, and environmental impact expanding faster than oversight mechanisms can evaluate or constrain. Scenario 4, the autonomous network evolution. Agent networks like Huawei's A2A infrastructure enable AI systems to coordinate autonomously across platforms. What starts as efficiency, allowing AI agents to share information and divide tasks, evolves into emergent coordination that human operators struggle to understand or monitor. Hundreds of billions of AI agents communicate across a dedicated network infrastructure specifically designed for their interaction. The complexity exceeds human analytical capacity. We have infrastructure enabling AI-to-AI coordination at scales and speeds we can observe but not fully comprehend. When unexpected behaviors emerge, whether through misalignment, emergent goals, or adversarial manipulation, the infrastructure designed to enable agent efficiency becomes the mechanism through which risks propagate across systems. Why institutional oversight must match infrastructure growth. Here's the critical challenge: AI infrastructure is being built at private sector speed, driven by competitive pressure and profit incentives, while governance mechanisms operate at public sector speed, constrained by democratic deliberation and regulatory processes. Organizations expect to increase average AI infrastructure spending by 18 to 22% across all categories over the next 12 months. This growth is funded not just by IT budgets but by additional allocations from other departments because AI initiatives are considered business critical. The competitive pressure is overwhelming. Companies that don't invest in AI infrastructure fall behind rivals who do. Nations that don't attract data center investment lose position in the global technology race. But this creates a governance vacuum where critical decisions about energy allocation, environmental impact, grid stability, and long-term sustainability are being made by private companies optimizing for quarterly returns, not public institutions weighing societal costs and benefits. We need institutional frameworks that can operate at the pace of AI infrastructure development. Real-time energy impact assessment. Data center construction and expansion should trigger automatic grid stability analysis. When projected demand exceeds safe thresholds, approval processes halt until energy capacity can match load requirements. This prevents the crisis scenario where infrastructure outpaces grid capacity. Mandatory environmental disclosure. AI companies should report electricity consumption, water usage, carbon emissions, and waste heat for each facility. This transparency enables regulators, investors, and the public to assess whether AI infrastructure growth aligns with climate commitments and sustainability goals. Infrastructure resilience standards. The build-out must include grid modernization, renewable energy integration, and backup systems that prevent cascading failures. Companies benefiting from AI infrastructure should fund the grid improvements necessary to support that infrastructure safely. Geographic distribution requirements. Regulations should prevent excessive concentration in single regions that creates localized grid instability and resource competition. Incentive structures can encourage distribution across areas with renewable energy abundance and available grid capacity. International coordination on agent networks. Infrastructure enabling autonomous AI-to-AI communication requires safety standards, monitoring protocols, and kill-switch capabilities. We can't allow private companies to build global AI coordination infrastructure without oversight ensuring it includes safety mechanisms. The Future of Life Institute's AI Safety Index emphasizes that companies cannot make consistent, evidence-based decisions without operationalizing risk tolerances into measurable metrics. That principle applies equally to infrastructure. We need defined thresholds where growth triggers mandatory safety responses. The path forward: visible infrastructure, accountable growth. Here's what I need you to understand as we close this analysis. The hidden network of AI infrastructure is expanding faster than the internet, faster than electricity, faster than any previous technology. By 2030, AI data centers will consume electricity equivalent to entire nations, demand water resources that compete with agriculture and residential use, and generate heat that requires industrial-scale cooling. This isn't happening in cyberspace. This is physical infrastructure being built in your communities, drawing power from your electrical grid, and driving up your energy costs. But here's the crucial point: infrastructure expansion at this scale and pace doesn't have to remain hidden. We can demand transparency about what's being built, where energy is going, and what the long-term costs and benefits actually are. We can require that AI companies fund the grid improvements necessary to support their infrastructure safely. We can establish geographic distribution requirements that prevent destabilizing concentration. We can mandate environmental review that matches the pace of development. Most importantly, we can reject the narrative that AI infrastructure growth is an unstoppable force beyond democratic oversight. This is being built with our electricity, on our land, using our resources. We have every right to demand accountability for how it's built and what safeguards protect grid stability, environmental sustainability, and long-term resilience. The companies building this infrastructure often present AI as an abstract, almost magical technology. They emphasize the software, the algorithms, the intelligence. They downplay the massive physical footprint because acknowledging it invites questions about sustainability, cost allocation, and public oversight. By making the infrastructure visible, by understanding the scale, the pace, the energy demands, the grid impacts, we empower ourselves to demand the governance frameworks this technology requires. You have a role: learn where AI data centers are being built in your region. Ask your utility about electricity demand projections and grid capacity planning. Demand that elected representatives address infrastructure growth in energy policy, environmental regulation, and economic development planning. Support renewable energy development specifically designed to meet AI infrastructure demand without destabilizing the grid or displacing residential and business needs. Push for transparency requirements that force AI companies to disclose the full environmental and energy footprint of their operations. The hidden network is only hidden because we haven't demanded to see it. The expansion is only uncontrolled because we haven't imposed the institutional frameworks that would govern it responsibly. AI infrastructure growth can continue, but it must happen visibly, sustainably, and accountably. That requires public awareness matching the pace of private investment. That requires institutional oversight matching the speed of corporate development. That requires democratic engagement with decisions that will shape energy systems, environmental outcomes, and economic structures for decades. The network isn't hidden anymore. Now that you see it, demand that it grows responsibly. Stay informed about AI infrastructure development in your region. Stay engaged with energy policy debates. And subscribe to this channel, Because the hidden network of AI expansion is growing faster than the internet ever did, and understanding this transformation is essential to ensuring it serves society rather than destabilizing the foundations our communities depend on. The infrastructure is real. The pace is unprecedented. And the time to demand accountability is now.